Hi y'all, it's Kara from the Transformation Mom for ABCDE, and I am ready to start the cover to my journal. So this is kind of a interesting process, so I wanted to film it, and it takes a little bit of time, so it's going to be done in a couple little steps, and we'll have to see how it goes. I am going to be using my Fabri-Tac glue because that's the glue that I just am most comfortable with and that I know will stick. So I have that. I have my good pair of Fiskars shears. I have my utility knife just in case. And then I have the fabric that I chose and then my book. So I'm going to remove the backing of this book, the dust cover. I'm not going to be needing that. Now the first thing that I usually have to do is this one's a little bit more easy. You can actually see the hollow binding in it. So I am just going to simply get this Stanley knife, and I'm just going to cut kind of right down the outside of this. Compared to some books, this is actually a pretty easy book to remove. And I just want to make sure I don't cut the spine off. That's where I'm at right now. Let's maybe go to this back side. So you can see I just simply cut straight down both sides, and now I have my flat cover and the text block. I'll set aside. One thing that I did notice when I started to pull this out, I was all worried because I was like, oh my gosh, it's not going to fit. I had a little bit of a panic mode earlier. When I had first pulled it out, I was like, oh no, I screwed up. It's not going to work. So I think I am going to just try to get try to get it about right there. I should have that Let It Snow kind of be right on there, or I can move it up a little bit. So I kind of think I'm just going to try it right there. So simply lay out whatever you're doing. Now I can see through this where the red ends and there's the white. So that's one thing that I gotta note. And one of the things that I like to do is I want just a small red border all around to make sure that that's nice and centered. So I usually do this the other way, but I'm going to try it this way because I want to get this centered pretty well. So I'm going to start with the spine part, and I'm going to put some of this glue on. Now this glue will show through if you put a lot of it on. So now what I'm just going to simply do is rub this on there. So I'm going to let that sit for a few seconds here. So as you can see, here's the top edge, here's the side edge, and here's the bottom edge. So it's going to have lots of pretty stuff all over it. I'm going to pull up the one side. I'm going to apply my glue. And depending on how thick your fabric is, it may or may not be sticky on the outside till it dries. Just going to tell you that. I'm just going to grab my brayer real quick. And of course the phone is ringing. I will call back whoever it is in a few minutes. Since I'm crafting with you right now. Okay, so there is that side. now we will pull up this side. And again, apply some glue. And we're going to put that over that way. And make sure that it gets laid out nice and flat. And again, I'll just brayer that all. Make sure that that's all nice and on there. Of course, I just had to hit my thumb too. See, I'm a hot mess today. Okay. So now we'll flip it over. And I'm going to start here on the bottom, and I only want probably about an inch. So we're just going to simply cut off the bottom. And then I don't want some of this bulk. So I want to try to cut off the finished edge here. And then I'm going to cut off the finished edge over here. And then I will also cut off the finished edge up here on top. And I actually am going to cut this a little bit shorter because that's just a lot of extra white. That's just going to add bulk, but nothing real there. So now, I'm just get some of this snow away. Okay. So now, what you need to do is miter the corners a little bit. I like to go just straight across, pretty close to that edge. Some others will cut like at an angle. This is just my preference. After you make a few books, you'll find your own preference, and so this is just my own preference. And I'll actually save these little triangles. Maybe I'll use them for something else later. I don't know. I just... I'm more of a like, let's save everything and see what happens kind of person. So I like to start with the long ends first. And I usually start in the middle. And I like to make sure that it's down in there. And again, I'll hold it for a few minutes just to make sure that it's sticking right there. And then I gotta lift it up a little bit to get the rest of the glue on. Wasn't thinking about that today. Now I always like to make sure that I get the edge pretty good. And on this side, to make sure that it is really tight, I'll put some glue on this edge. That side seemed a little more, what I'm going to say, closer to it, which this side didn't. So... Then we're going to get over here to these edges, okay? So I put glue along the edge first. And then I usually put glue on the flap like this. Now, what I usually do is grab my handy dandy bone folder, and I usually try to push this in a little bit. And then as I'm pushing that in, I fold this over like that. So again, use your bone folder, kind of pull this in, and then you pull it over. Sometimes, like, you have to add I'll add a dip of glue to my finger as I'm trying to mold this around there. My glue is missing because I didn't put the lid on. Okay. There we go. Now we'll flip it over. And we'll do the same thing over here. And whatever dye is on this fabric, it is coming off on my fingers. So I have a little bit of red fingers here between the combo of the glue and the fabric. Let me fix this corner here. And there we go. So now there is our fun fabric cover. I like how it looks so far. So now, and there's what it looks like on the inside right now. So now we gotta let it dry. So I will be back in probably tomorrow to show you another step. Have a great day.